and go into the second segment, which is all about LeBron. He ended up winning the FIBA MVP towards the conclusion of this Olympics. Obviously, he was the number one favorite to win this award. Throughout the entirety of the Olympics, he has been the best player for the United States, and so being the best player on the best team basically guarantees you an MVP award, because that is the best way to represent value, what you do to impact your team and winning. Because, why do you play the sport if you don't try to win in it? And with this MVP, LeBron James now becomes the first player in basketball history to win a regular season MVP, an NBA Finals MVP, an NBA All-Star Game MVP, an NBA in-season tournament MVP, and finally an Olympic MVP. And he has done all of this throughout the span of his career. And if there was no argument for him being the GOAT, I don't think there isn't anymore. I honestly didn't think that there was once he broke Kareem's record for total points, but a lot of people like to hate, and at this point, if you like Jordan, no one is going to change your mind, and if you think he's the GOAT, no one will ever be able to change your mind. If you think LeBron's the GOAT, no one will ever be able to change your mind, and that's sort of how the debate stands and where it is right now. But given all of this and everything that he's done throughout his tenure, I don't think there's really any argument for that anymore. He was able to live through the conception of an Olympic MVP even being thought of, and here he is winning an Olympic MVP. Because he was playing in a league, and same with Michael Jordan. For a while, he was playing in a league and in an era where there was no Olympic MVP to even win. And here he is, now that there's an Olympic MVP, winning that Olympic MVP. Same thing with the in-season tournament. There was no in-season tournament award, there was no in-season tournament MVP, and here he is winning these awards the minute that they're, thought of. So, his longevity is something completely out of this world, something that we haven't seen before. And a lot of people were arguing that Steph Curry should have won the award, that this was a robbery from Steph. Steph deserved the Olympic MVP more than LeBron. And I'm just going to say that these are just, if you believe that, then you must be a really heavy Curry fan, because if you had to have watched the entirety of the Olympics to know that LeBron was the MVP, because if you were just watching the final two games of these Olympics, then it would make sense. Yeah, it would make total sense to put Curry as the MVP. In fact, if the MVP was based off of the games in the quarterfinals and forward, then maybe you would have had an argument for Steph Curry being robbed. But given how it's an award that's won throughout all of the Olympics, throughout the entirety of your Olympic play, then it makes sense that LeBron should have won, because Curry throughout most of the Olympics was very underwhelming. It was only up until the final two games where Steph Curry actually played like Steph Curry. Meanwhile, LeBron was was on average the best player on the United States. And the numbers that he was putting up every given night was MVP caliber numbers for FIBA, because obviously, his numbers, they aren't going to be nearly as impressive as they are in the NBA, because his usage rate is much lower, and because of the team that he's on. He's not going to try and force himself to score 27 points every single game when you have someone like Kevin Durant to play with, when you have someone like Steph, and when you have all of those players on the team. You aren't going to be trying to focus on scoring. And that's really been how this Olympic teams have been playing, and this is sort of how the game is supposed to be played when you're on the Olympics. You can't really focus on scoring the ball all that much on a team full of scorers. You have to make sure that everyone else gets a little bit of the ball, because that's just the best way to win. And the fact that, again, just LeBron winning the MVP, he definitely deserved it. This was his award to lose, and it was really, how can you not expect LeBron to win this award? Let me know in the comments what you guys think, if you guys think maybe this award should have gone to someone else. One thing that I should mention is that Devin Booker, throughout throughout the entire Olympics, Devin Booker has been very good for the United States. Arguably, like, their most underrated player in the entirety of the Olympics, because like he was doing everything that the United States needed him to do when they needed him to do it. Aside from the Serbian game where I don't think it was right for him to be playing over Jason Tatum, he was still producing in a majority of the games that he was participating in. So without his performances, it would be very difficult to say that we would have ended up winning the gold, because like all of these players, all of them, like they all chipped in when we desperately needed them to. I mean, Halliburton not so much, but then again, like you can't really expect much from someone who isn't playing. More on him later in the fourth segment. And shout out to everyone else who was in the running for this award, because I mean, it's not like they were going to end up winning it over somebody like LeBron. I mean, he was just, being the face of the team, closing out in all these games that he needed them to close, that they needed him in. So, I mean, shout out to Jokic, Schroeder, Durant, Wagner, Bogdanovic, Wembanyama, Yabusele, who's now being dubbed as the French Ben Wallace, Anthony Davis, and Daniel Tice. They were all in the ladder and in the running for winning the MVP, but LeBron, this was his award to lose, and he wasn't going to lose this award. He needs to add on to that resume. And should also be noted that with this gold medal, LeBron now has more Olympic gold medals than Michael Jordan has in his career. So there's one more thing that LeBron has to his legacy, having more gold medals than Michael Jordan. And I mean, he's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame, but really, that's all that I have for you on this segment, because, there's not really much I can pull from talking about the MVP. I mean, I genuinely feel like LeBron deserves it. This was not a robbery. So in this third segment, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the world champion debate, sort of where it started, why it started, and just my opinions on that overall, where I stand on that opinion. I'll go over that right after this short break, so be sure to stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.